Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderfall Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. So today, we're going to chat about a new Stormcast Eternal Warscroll that we've seen. Now, this particular Warscroll, you might have seen floating around the images of the new repackaged Warhammer Age of Sigmar box sets, in particular a Vanguard Hunters box set. They're in the new red packaging with the nice scenic battle scene that I love on the front of the box. No longer just a plain white box with miniatures on the front. The miniatures are back to how they were, very early mid editions of fantasy, showing in a battle scene. Really cool looking box, and inside that box is the new Warscroll for Vanguard Hunters, and this is interesting. There are 4 particular things on this Warscroll I think that are interesting for Vanguard Hunters that show how Stormcast Eternals are going to change. We know in the new battle tome, because we've seen that leaked page of new points for Stormcast Eternals, that they are in fact going to be increasing in points quite a bit. So this to me does suggest that the Warscrolls in general are going to get better. So we'll touch on that in a second, but the first thing I want to talk about is these weird symbols. Now, I posted this up mainly because I was just excited about the other things we're going to talk about, but people started going on and on about the weird symbols. However, don't fret. This isn't coming to Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They do this the same for the box sets inside Warhammer 40k. It just means they can print one set of instructions inside that particular box set to use for the game. You don't have to worry about these symbols becoming a thing throughout the entirety of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. They're just in these box set miniatures like this because it's easy to package. However, I will note with the rules here, we just get the stat line now. There is no universal rules or no Vanguard Hunter specific rules on this Warscroll anymore. No rules for even a prime and things we know that aren't disappearing. Things that are part of the unit like the Astral Compass and the prime. These are part of the unit and how they work, and to make them different, and they're not here. This does seem to me like we're going to see very minimal rules. Maybe this is a thing of we get the base Warscroll, or maybe we're not seeing even free rules entirely anymore. Maybe it's all going to be like behind the battle tome and the app. I don't know, but this is just something interesting to sort of look for. These pages would have the entire Warscroll on them. So I hope we're not going to be paying for Warscrolls. That's one of the best things and one of the best entry points about Age of Sigmar over something like Warhammer 40k. So I really hope this is just a cleaned up version to make this like a universal sort of sheet for the new edition. I think that is probably the reason. Now, let's get talking about some of the things and the changes we've seen here. So first of all, you'll note that there is rend on both weapons. Vanguard Hunters previously had 0 rend on either their shooting or combat, and they've now got rend 1 on both of them. This is really interesting because I think maybe we might be seeing -1 rend come to Stormcast Eternals almost across the board. And what does this mean for our units that already have -1 rend on their attacks? Does it mean we're now going to see -2 rend and -3 rend become a thing in Stormcast Eternals and that much more? Is this a way that they've planned to counter the ability to have so many +1 saves in the game that a lot more armies are going to have a lot more rend? I think this is really cool because it just means Vanguard Hunters now have that little bit extra kicking power. I can't remember what their actual points were on their current Warscroll, but this is a really interesting thing. And something that may carry really interesting sort of consequences throughout the entire Stormcast Eternal range. I mean, all of a sudden imagine if Retributors got Rend 2. If they're Rend 2 doing mortal wounds on 6s still, or the 2 mortal wounds on 6s still, they suddenly become a really, really nice option, I think. And it makes a lot of units just really, really nice to look at. Things like Decimators and your other Paladin options like Protectors as well, who I think with their monster hunting ability could be really interesting in the new edition. Another thing to note is the extra range on the ranged weapon attack. Normally the little hand crossbows, the Boltstorm pistols, were normally 9-inch range, and they had a special rule to go alongside the deployment that you could deploy 7-inch away from your opponents and not 9 with Vanguard Hunters with the Astral Compass. I think this is probably just a change to now you can deploy 9-inch away from enemy units. There's no longer that 7, it's now just a flat 9, and you've got the 12-inch range here so that they can shoot when they come on the board 9-inch away. I think that's just a very basic, simple change. I think that's probably what that entails more than anything. The last thing of note to look at on this particular Warscroll here, though, is the single weapon profile. Now, we saw this in the Soul Black Gravelord's army when Skeleton Warriors no longer had the spears or swords, they just had the one weapon profile. So, looking at this, we no longer have axes or swords, we now just have the one weapon profile, and you can see there still is a sword and an axe pictured in the layout below, and it doesn't seem like they're different things at all. So, with that, I think maybe this is something we're going to see across the whole army. Maybe there's no longer going to be swords and hammers on Liberators. You just get different rules for maybe sword and board, so hand weapon shield, and then 2 hand weapon Liberators, and of course great weapons will be different as well. Much the same for Sequitors and other Stormcast Eternal units, and probably other units in the game in its entirety. This is interesting because we have seen some differentiation as well with units like this. Obviously, Graveguard in the same book for Soul Black Gravelords do have hand weapon shield and great weapon as 2 options. So maybe something like Freeguild Guard, who have 3 very distinct weapon options, sword and board, halberd and spears, will keep that, something that is very distinct, but when it's just 2 types of hand weapon, it's going to get the same similar profile. I think that's a good change for the game. I understand the difference between, a halberd, a spear, and a sword, and a shield. They're all 3 very different options. But really, sword and axe, just give them the same weapon profile. There's multiple units in the game that have these different weapon profiles that just can change up. And just really benefit from getting this single profile, making the Warscrolls easier to use, and really not making these 2 weapons have these really minute differences that don't really achieve all that much, or make one of the 2 weapons the obvious choice. Like, for instance, we've had Liberators with swords and hammers for ages. Hammers are always the best because Stormcast have plenty of bonuses to hit, and they don't have many bonuses to wound, so you always went hammers because you gave yourself +1 to hit really easily with Stormcast. And it meant swords were never really a thing we saw too much in the game. Anyway, I'd like to know what you think of all the changes you've seen to the Warscroll here for the Vanguard Hunters, and what you're really getting excited for the new Stormcast Eternals. What do you think we're going to see? Do you think maybe the rend is going to be something increasing across the game as we see, and the extra range, and what do you think of where we're going to see Warscrolls end up? Are we going to continue to see free rules, or are we maybe going to have less for free and more that becomes paid for? Well, thank you all for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Also, while you're at it, why not come chat more with us on Discord? We've got a link in the description of the video below to our Discord server. You can come chat with me and other members of our fine little community here at Cinderfall Gaming. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel in various different ways. First of all, to our Patreon members, Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, MJ, and Dyna226. Thank you to, as well, our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeop, Chris Wallace, Turai12, Vinny, and Loch Lorick. And a special thanks to our artist who does all the channel art for us, Lady Witchfox Art, thank you very much. And to our Discord moderator, Xmorphic, you do a fantastic job on Discord for us as well. Thank you all, everyone, for watching. If you'd like to help support on Patreon or YouTube member, or help support the channel in another way, you can do so by following one of the links in the description of the video to Patreon or YouTube members, or go buy some Cinderfall Gaming merch from our Teespring store, also linked in the video's description. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.